He kōna ipurangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
Kia ora, and a very warm welcome to the Kākāpō Files from RNZ. Ko Alison Ballance ahau. I'm loving following along with what we all hope will be the biggest breeding season on record for New Zealand's night parrot. I know you'll agree it's a pretty unusual parrot. Giant, flightless, nocturnal, doesn't breed very often, does everything slowly. But in episode 6, the action is heating up. So we're going to go straight to Deidre Vercoe, Program Leader for DOC's Kākāpō Recovery Programme, who's on the line from Kākāpō HQ with all the latest island news. Kia ora, Deidre.
Kia ora, Alison.
Gosh, it's been a bit of a week. In the last episode, which is a week ago already, we heard there'd been 5 matings, so 4 on Whenua Hou and 1 on anchor. But I saw a photo of the fridge door on the Kākāpō Recovery Facebook page on Friday, which was just 4 days later, and the mating tally had already climbed to 15. So the action is really heating up, isn't it?
It is. It really feels like the season's ramping up now, and we can increase that number, Ali, because we're up to 24 females have mated now.
24 out of our 83. That's incredible.
Yeah, so just under 30% of the female population have started, so hopefully the rest will get into the action soon.
And where is the action? Whenua Hou and anchor?
That's right. So we've had 12 females mate on anchor, 10 on Whenua Hou and 2 on Te Kākahu.
Te Kākahu, Chalky Island, is your very hands-off island, so that's pretty exciting, but the technology has told you what's happened.
Yeah, that's right. So the remote monitoring technology is keeping us up to play there.
So do you know who the females are on Te Kākahu?
Interestingly, one of the females is dusky and we didn't detect any mating for her. Don't know who she's mated with, but we're pretty sure she has because her remote monitoring activity data shows that she's in a classic incubation pattern now. So her activity's dropped very low, so she's very likely sitting on a nest already.
And I saw on the list on the fridge door that there's actually a couple of chicks from the 2019 breeding season on the female side who've mated for the first time.
That's right, 7-year-olds. So Vori and Kohingi are 2 females that have got into the action, and we've also had a few 7-year-old males mating. So Kotahitanga has mated. In fact, one night he mated twice. So he had a very busy night, and then also Deans and Hondi as well.
Oh, wow, those are precocious young boys.
It is. It'll be really interesting to see how the fertility of those clutches go.
So are there any females or males, for that matter, that you're particularly excited about that have mated?
Oh, look, I'm just excited with the mating activity in general, and it's showing that our technology is working really, really well. When I talked about dusky sitting on a nest, we've also had 2 other females drop into nesting patterns in their remote monitoring technology that we haven't detected mating for. So it looks like we've got one of those on each island at the moment. So on Whenua Hou, Tohu went into incubation mode in her pattern, and we've checked up on Tohu and she's already on a nest. And we've found 2 eggs, so that's pretty exciting. And we've also had a female on anchor. Just today, we think she looks pretty much like she's in incubation mode as well, and that's Marion.
So you don't know who those have mated with, so you'll have to wait for the genetics a bit further down the line.
That's right. And of course, if they're infertile, we'll never know. But really interesting. So one mating on each island has escaped our mating detection, but we've picked up the females going into incubation. So that's exactly what we're after. But the rest of the mating seem to be coming through strongly on the remote system.
Now, a week ago, the Whenua Hou team were off to check Pearl's nest. Can you tell me what the news is from Pearl's nest?
Yeah, not much to update from Pearl's nest. So she's still sitting on her 2nd and 3rd egg. We did remove the 1st egg, which was infertile.
So Pearl definitely has 2 infertile eggs. You're not quite sure about the 3rd, but expect that'll be infertile as well?
We do suspect that will be infertile. So if we don't have any other fertile eggs around the same stage as Pearl's nest, then I suspect we will remove Pearl's eggs at some point when she's off in the middle of the night and hope that she remates and renests.
Now, she only mated once, and Esperance, who hasn't quite nested yet, but it's been quite a while since she mated, she only mated once?
She did. Esperance only mated once with Ian, but we did artificially inseminate Esperance. She's 14 days now since her first mating, and she still hasn't settled into an incubation pattern. So we're hoping that she will soon. She's around about the maximum of her normal pattern from the past. So in the past, she's been up to 14 days before she's settled into a nest. So we're about that mark now. So fingers crossed for Esperance.
Well, just thinking about that fertility thing and the fact that the females are more fertile the more times they mate, have you had many females who've mated twice?
We haven't this year, not yet. Hopefully that will pick up. We've only had 2 females double mate, and so 2 meke had mated with Te Atapo and again with Gulliver. And Kohingi mated twice with Kotahitanga.
Oh, well, it'll be really interesting to see whether some of those females start going back up to the top of the island and have a second or even a third go, which is what you'd like.
It is what we'd like, and we particularly like it when they do mate with multiple males because the fertility increases if they mate twice with the same male, but it increases yet again if they mate with different males. So hopefully, we're still pretty early in the game, and many of those females who have mated may return up the hill, find a boy and mate again, and that would be fantastic for fertility.
Well, you mentioned Esperance having artificial insemination, and in episode 5 last week, the AI team was off to try and inseminate Huhu, who had mated with her half-brother Hondi, so that wasn't a very desirable match. But I saw on the Kākāpō Recovery Facebook page that Huhu was giving you a bit of a runaround. Did you ever succeed?
Yes, we did. On day 3, we managed to. So day 1, we found Huhu very high up a tree, so we were unable to extract her that day. So we went back the next day and spent hours looking around her normal home range and couldn't find her anywhere. And then the 3rd day we returned and managed to catch her. So she was artificially inseminated with Stumpy and a bit of sperm from Milford as well. So fingers crossed for that. And then we've also had a 3rd artificial insemination with Heather. Heather was artificially inseminated with Bonus, and she gave us a bit of a hard time as well because she was up a tree on day 1. So it does show how difficult the AI is, and hats off to the AI team for their persistence and dedication.
Indeed, and later in the episode I'll be talking a bit with Daryl about why he'd like Heather and Bonus to have more babies. What else have you got going on the islands, Deidre?
Well, we've been working a bit behind the scenes, Ellie, to try and bring a bit of Kākāpō recovery action to the world. Kākāpō live on these far-flung remote islands, but they have quite a big following. People seem to adore Kākāpō, and we'd really love to share a bit of the breeding season with the public. So we've been working behind the scenes to try and bring you a webcam, which would be quite exciting. No promises just yet, but we think we're getting close to having something up and running. We'd really love to have a webcam on a track and bowl system if we manage to do that. And also, if we have a female nest somewhere close enough to where we have the system, we may be able to get some nesting action on a webcam. That would be pretty exciting.
Oh, I know that would be very well received. People would love to just sit there and watch Kākāpō by the hour, which is what you can do.
I think it would be pretty addictive.
Oh, well, you're expecting that this level of mating activity will carry on for the next week or 2?
Yeah, it should remain pretty steady for the next few weeks. So the team will now start shifting into more nest finding. And then our next piece of work will be checking all the fertility of the eggs and trying to make sure that they're well balanced across the island. So, for example, if one female has 3 infertile eggs and another female has 3 fertile eggs, we might transfer some eggs between nests just to make that fair and a better chance for the female to raise chicks. Yep, that'll be the focus for the next 2 to 3 weeks for the team. It will be pretty busy.
So spreading the workload for the females, hopefully, and in the meantime, those boys are still going to be going flat out on the top of the island. I bet they're starting to lose weight by now with all the effort they're putting in.
Yeah, they will be. They're pretty dedicated. They'll boom all night long, and they'll carry on right through January, February, into March, and then they'll start to wind down and they'll start to do a bit of fighting. They always like to a bit of scrapping when they lose their dedication to the booming, when they realise it's all a bit over. So they will lose quite a bit of condition over that time, and we'll do what we can to support them.
Back in episode 4, we heard about the overachievers, those Kākāpō who have been very successful at producing offspring and who now have many, many descendants. Top of the list is Flossie and Blades. Flossie with 12 offspring and 86 descendants in total. Blades with 19 offspring but only 41 descendants in total. Hot on Flossie's heels is daughter Rakiura with 29 descendants, while on the male side, Boss is close behind Blades with his 16 offspring, and young bucks Komaru and Horton got off to a blazing start in 2019, fathering 10 chicks each. But what about the underachievers? Those kākāpō that the artificial insemination team is giving a helping hand to, trying to ensure that their genes get passed on. Chief among them are 3 founder males, as Technical Advisor Daryl Eason explains.
We've still got 3 males that were found on Stewart Island that have never bred.
And who are those males?
They are Bonus, Joe and Ralph. Ralph's not quite so important because we discovered that his parents were Rangi and Lisa, and so he has other siblings or close relatives. His family tree is well represented, whereas Bonus and Joe have few relatives, so it'll be very important to get them into the breeding population before they get too old. I mean, they're probably over 50 years old now. Bonus tends to live on the periphery, so he probably doesn't have the best bowl site, and you can't change a bird's bowl site. There are going to be more females this year, so that maybe the chances are getting higher, but I'll be ready to step in. And that worked successfully with Merv last season. He was also a male that had never reproduced, and with artificial insemination we managed to get 3 chicks from 2 mothers from Merv. And Sinbad's the same. He's mated with a few different females. He's not highly popular, but none of those matings have resulted in fertile eggs with the natural mating. But we have collected sperm from him for artificial insemination. We have produced 4 offspring from him, and we'll aim to get a few more this year.
Ralph was mentioned last week. The AI team collected sperm from him and it was used to inseminate Esperance, the second female to mate this year. Sinbad is one of 3 offspring of Richard Henry, the only surviving Kākāpō from Fiordland, and so his genes are considered particularly valuable. Sinbad's sister Kuia and his brother Gulliver, on the other hand, are successful breeders already, with 7 offspring each. The Kākāpō team's aim is for the founders, and for other birds that are considered genetically important, to have at least 7 offspring, as this means they will have passed on about 99% of their genes. It's good to see that Kuia and Gulliver have reached this benchmark, and with the help of AI, Sinbad now only needs 3 more offspring to reach it as well. So as well as Joe, Bonus, Ralph, Merv and Sinbad, Daryl also has a couple of other males that he plans to collect sperm from if at all possible.
Birds that may have an injury, like one of Gulliver's offspring who has a clenched foot. He's probably not going to mate very well. Yeah, birds like that we can use AI for, or of some of the hand-reared males like Trevor, who has only produced infertile eggs.
All of the surviving founder females have bred successfully, which I guess makes them achievers rather than underachievers. Nonetheless, there are some that Daryl would like more offspring from. In their case, AI might help boost the fertility of their eggs.
There's about 5 that just very important birds when you consider their mean kinship, how they're related to everyone else. And that is mostly founders.
Founders are the birds from Rakiura.
From Rakiura, that's right. Yeah, so Cindy, Suzanne, Ruth, Heather. And then there's Suzanne's daughter, Hera, from 2016. And her father was Arab. So Arab only produced 2 offspring before he died. So genetic-wise, they're the top birds. And we've got a couple of extras, Sue and Jean, also founders.
So you'd just like more of their genes in the population.
That's right. what we're really after to try and prevent inbreeding is to have a nice even spread of progeny from most of the founders.
Thanks, Daryl. I'll be back in a week with lots more news from the 2026 Kākāpō breeding season, which is certainly heating up. The Kākāpō Files is produced by RNZ in collaboration with the New Zealand Department of Conservation's Kākāpō Recovery Programme. A special thanks this week to Program Manager Deidre Vercoe and Technical Advisor Daryl Eason. This episode was produced by me, Alison Ballance, with help from RNZ's Claire Concannon and Brianna Uritich-Gregg. Sound engineer was Ben Pearce. And in recognition of all the effort that all the male kakapo are making each night, booming and chinging to attract the females, let's go out with some chinging from underachiever Merv. You can send your questions to kākāpō@rnz.co.nz. Some of them we're answering as we go along, and further down the track, we plan on having a special Q&A episode. You can find the Kākāpō Files online at rnz.co.nz or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you're enjoying the show, please rate and review us. It does help other folk to find us. I'll catch you next time. But for now, thanks for listening. Mā te wā.